Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to season number 13 of the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series presented by SM Racing Products. And I'll tell you what, race fans, I'm sure right now there's a whole lot of question marks going on up in the air, and there's only going to be even more question marks as we get further into tonight's event because we have a whole lot to talk about here this evening. And as such, that is why we are starting the broadcast here 10 minutes early. Of course, this is the ASRC Oval Series, but here we are tonight finding our way to the Watkins Glen International. Here up in Watkins Glen, New York, first road course of the season. First time the Oval Series has actually ever been to this track. It's not unheard of that the ASRC Oval Series sometimes occasionally makes their way over to a road course, but this is the first time the league has ever done it at this particular speedway. Coming in at 2.45 miles in length or 3.94 kilometers in length. Currently using the Cup layout, which is the layout that NASCAR and ARCA uses in the real world. Shortens this track down a little bit from its full size down to the 7-turn configuration you see up here on screen here this evening. Opened up back in 1957, but actually all the way back to 1948, street racing was a huge thing up here in Watkins Glen. And then in 1957, they finally decided maybe they need to take it off the streets and build a dedicated circuit for it. And that is what just happened to create this amazing speedway here in the United States. This track has been visited 15 times by the ASRC Oval Series, and only one time has it ever been used on this layout, and that was back in 2019, where Brian Sapelski took home the win in the Global Mazda MX-5 Cup. A couple of other drivers that have made their names in the record books here: Jake Johansson, Rui Coimbra, Ronnie Kotz, Nils Santowski. All of these names probably very unfamiliar to those of you who tune into the ASRC Oval Series every week. But these are all drivers who made massive names for themselves here in the ASRC Road Series back when that was the main series of the league. Of course, this league has existed since 2017, and the ASRC Oval Series did not begin until 2020. So a whole lot of history here that hasn't been picked up on the broadcast, but tonight, drivers here to make a little bit more history themselves. Drivers currently out on the track working on their qualifying attempts. How about we take down a look at Mr. Garrett Hess, see what all he is up to as our current championship points leader here at Watkins Glen. Already halfway through his first qualifying lap, so let's see what sort of time he was able to put up on the board here in that Everfrost 00. Coming into tonight's event as the championship leader by just about 90 points over Brian Sabelski. The deficit just keeps getting bigger and bigger as this 00 takes home win after win. And it's going to be a 113.35 as his initial qualifying time here for that 00. Not quite as fast as we saw him in practice, but definitely pretty dang close to it. Another driver who has officially put in a qualifying time is going to be Mr. Brian Sabelski, who is currently put in a 1 minute 14.11. Very unusual for us to be seeing drivers putting in over 1 minute lap times here in the ASR Oval Series, but sure enough, here on a road course, a little bit of longer times is just what we're going to have to be dealing with here. And it looks like Brian Sabelski going to get bumped down a position by Alexander Light. Not a rookie here in the ASRC Oval Series by any means, but making his first start in the last couple of seasons here this evening in that 05 machine. The Rue 54 for Limitless Motorsports. Great to see Alex back out here on the track after a long delay, driver out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, making his return here this evening on the road course. Ryan Zabelski, Garrett Hess, both putting their times in, and it's going to be Garrett Hess that holds the advantage for the time being, but we're going to have to see just what Alex Light is able to make happen here as he gets ready to complete his last lap of qualifying, getting a little bit loose coming out of turn number 6 there, but he's going to bring it back home onto the front stretch, looking a-okay in that 005 machine, but I don't think it's going to be fast enough to set a hot lap here. How about we take a look down at a driver that is just about to begin his first lap qualifying here. That's going to be the unsponsored number 78 of Mr. Derek Murphy here. Still rocking the all black and white unsponsored entry, getting ready to make his first qualifying attempt here. Heading down into turn number 1. So far, so good for that number 78. Still got himself about 2 miles left to go without any sort of incident. Of course, if you make a mistake, your lap will be deleted. So you have to make a flawless lap in order to have your time actually be put up on the timing scoring board. 4 minutes left in qualifying, so everyone still does have an opportunity to get out on the track and get a time put down, should they be able to, of course. We do have a couple of drivers with incidents to their names, so their qualifying laps are not going to count. Currently 12 drivers registered here for tonight's event, and a couple of drivers looking like their laps are not going to count. Garrett Streets looks like neither of his laps are going to be registered. Same for Jason Gardner. Looks like he had incidents on both of his qualifying laps. But Derek Murphy getting ready to complete his lap. Everything looking good in that number 78 machine. Ooh, big wiggle coming out of the final corner there. That is not going to be doing his time any favor. Let's see what the record is for that 78 as he crosses the line. That will move him up above rookie driver Cameron Van Dyke, 117.18. So 3 seconds faster than that one machine of Van Dyke. 2 seconds back from the car in P number 5. That is Charles Gettings up there with a 115.27 for the 5th position. Take a moment, let's ride on board with Mr. Derek Murphy, see what he is seeing as he works his way around the speedway for qualifying lap number 2. Currently heading through the inner loop, then heading on down into turn number 5. Big wiggle for that 78 machine. It does not look like he picked up an off track though, so he should be good to go for this second qualifying lap. And of course, all this runoff here coming out of turn 5 is legal racing surface. So far looking good for that 78. A little bit too hot going down into turn number 6. But again, that doesn't count as an off track here, so he should be good to put in another time here. Again, big wiggle coming out of turn number 7. Let's see what he does as he crosses the line here. Going to be a 117.43, and he is just going to attenuate himself a real bit. Not quite happy that that lap time was a little bit slower than his previous attempt. Fortunately, here on the virtualiracing.com platform, that driver is a-okay, and that car will be fully repaired prior to the main event actually starting. Now looking down at Corey Logan, currently only driver still out on the speedway attempting to put a qualifying time down in that CZ Robotics 24, the driver out of Noonan, Georgia, running full time here in the ASRC Oval Series. Been uploading all of their races to their YouTube channel. Corey Zilla Zombie Killa, and their Twitch as well, also CZ Zombie Killa. As they cross the line, looks like lap number 1 going to be a 120.86. Not quite enough to bump them up against Cameron Van Dyke, but you got to think, they're not on the timing and scoring board, but there are 4 drivers behind Corey Logan now that were unable to qualify. All of them messed up their qualifying laps in some capacity and had their laps invalidated. So Corey Logan, while not necessarily the fastest car on the track right now, is able to keep it clean, able to keep it consistent, and that will be putting them at least up into the 8th position, potentially even better if this second qualifying lap goes their way here. And now as Corey works to complete that second qualifying lap, I guess another one of the big questions here Of course, starting the stream early, a little bit unusual. Another thing a little bit unusual, aside from the fact that we are running a road course here tonight, which is not something we see all that happens, only happened 4 times in the past. Once at the Lime Rock Park in the street stock, then the Charlotte Roval in the street stock. These were all back in 2021. And then last season at Tsukuba, and this season here at Watkins Glen. But race officials decided that tonight will be not a 100 lap race, not a 100-mile race, but rather a 100-kilometer race, as Corey Logan puts in a 120.86. Not quite going to be enough to improve that time as the clock runs out here for qualifying. So we're going to be getting ready to line things up for our main event here. 100 kilometers here at the Watkins Glen International, a number we never really see. The league has always operated on 100 laps or 100 miles, but the decision was made that 100 kilometers would bring this race a little bit more in line with how long the other ASRC Oval Series races go on for. They decided that maybe 100 miles at this big road course would be a little bit too long for their likings. So 25 laps will be the distance here at Watkins Glen. The big question is going to be who has what it takes to make it here to the end. There will potentially be race admin thrown cautions here in this event, depending on how things shake out. Of course, that is a big ol' what if. Who knows, maybe all these drivers will be able to keep it clean, but as everyone makes their way on down to the starting grid, let's take a look at how things will be lining up here this evening. Starting out on the pole for Limitless Esports, I believe I accidentally said Limitless Motorsports last time around, is Limitless Esports for the driver of that 05 machine, but it's actually the 54 on the side of his car right there. You can see it down on the track, the Rue Limitless Esports entry. Alex Light, returning for the first time here this season, going to be taking the pole with a 113.334. Starting his outside in the 00, the fastest car in practice, that's going to be Mr. Garrett Hess, our championship points leader, leading the field on the front row. Back in position number 3, they're going to be the 14 Dirty Mo Radio of Nico Morelli, a driver known for his road course abilities back in the ASRC Road Series, and particularly the ASRC Open Wheel Series back when that was a thing. Nico was a very dominant force in the open-wheeled cars, and the Open Wheel Series actually did also make a few stops to this track as well during its running. Back in position number 4, that's going to be the 85 of Mr. Brian Sabelski in the Nihon Tiger entry. 4-time champion here in the league, looking to try and figure out how to make it number 5 here this season. Another driver that has taken home many wins here in the various road series that have come to this track. Now looking to see if he can't put his name in the record books for the Oval Series as well. Starting back in position number 5, that's going to be a rookie driver here this evening in the number 96. That is going to be the camouflaged Budweiser entry, followed by the unsponsored 78 of Derek Murphy. Of course, we watched him down in qualifying as he set that lap time down. That's going to be another rookie driver back in 7th. That is going to be the number 1 of Cameron Van Dyke in the Junior Motorsports entry, followed by the CZ Robotics 24 of Corey Logan as the last driver who was able to set a qualifying time down. Back in 9th, going to be league admin in the ASRC, number 93. That's going to be Jason Gardner rolling off position number 9. One half of the SM Racing Products team will be bringing it out here, rolling it off position number 10. Last season's champion in that 15 machine. That's going to be the SM Racing Products 15 of Garrett Streets, the driver out of Topeka, Kansas. Starting back in position number 11 in the 29 machine. That's going to be another rookie driver making their debut start here this evening in the Giant Eagle My Perks number 29. That's going to be Tyler Aspinall. Then finally, rounding out the tail end of this field in the number 3 Good Wrench entry, that is going to be another rookie driver making their debut here tonight in that 3 machine. That's going to be Mike Moultrie Jr. That said, we have managed to complete the pace lap here at Watkins Glen. We are getting ready to go green flag racing for 25 laps around this New York road course. The pace car makes the jump down to save the safety of pit lane. Green flag up in the air, first time in Watkins Glen. Side by side, down into turn number 1. Garrett Hess is going to have the advantage going into there. Everyone else looking like they're handling it pretty well. Little bit of bargy back here at the tail end of the field as everyone jostles for position in the early goings of this one. Little bit of a hornet's nest from about 7th on back here as everyone vies for position through the S's. And now it's going to be a mad dash going down into the bus stop for the very first time. 2 by 2 here. Mike Moultrie Jr. and Corey Logan. Corey's going to put on the parachute, back off just a little bit. So far, so good as everyone around the field manages to make it through one of the scariest parts of any road course, at least here on the iRacing.com platform in the North American region, in my opinion. That bus stop can be very treacherous, but so far so good for all of these drivers. Currently looking at the battle between Garrett Streets and Tyler Aspinall on for 9th as they head down through turn 6 and 7. Lap number 1 going to be going to the 00 of Garrett Hess, and everyone manages to get it done without incident. Despite this being the ASRC Oval Series, everyone seems to be pretty well behaving themselves here tonight. Currently looking up at the front of the field, Garrett Hess leads the way so far. Alex Light and Nico Morelli running just behind. Really could be anyone's game here for the front running of this field. Brian Zabelski really not all that far back as well as we get ready to send it on down into the bus stop once again. Everyone attacking these curbs here in this ARCA car, and pretty much they can get away with it in a stock car. In the open-wheeled cars that come out and race at this speedway, it's a lot more treacherous to be attacking those curbs in the way that they do. But here on the road, or here in these heavy stock cars, really you can get away with it. As we have a driver off the track, that is Cameron Van Dyke having a bit of trouble going through turn 5. That is the outer loop, and that's going to be sending him around. And it looks like Garrett Hess might be off the track as well. Yes, he is. And that's going to be a hard impact from Charles Jettings as well. And Charles looking like he has some pretty heavy damage on that number 96 machine. He is big time off the pace here. Will he be making it the dive down to pit lane? Yes, he will. It looks like the caution flag not going to be flying so far, and that's going to have Alexander Light and Nico Morelli now nose to tail for the race lead. We will go back and take a look back at those incidents here in just a second. This battle for the lead is heating up despite the drama for the race lead just a moment ago. As our race leaders attack the bus stop once again. Only 2 laps in the books here, race fans. We still have a whole lot of competition left to go here tonight. And it looks like Garrett Hess in the 00 has been filtered all the way back to 6th. And Charles Jettings, stuck down on pit lane, had some very heavy damage on that racing machine. How about we take a quick look back, see if we can't get a better look of what all just went down there. First, we're going to take a look back at what happened to Cameron Van Dyke, one of those rookie drivers in the number 1 junior motorsports entry, not getting the best run through the bus stop and just a little bit too sharp, heading down into the outer loop, hits the outside wall, tries to get it stopped, and all things considered, that could have been a worse incident than it was. Let's now take a look forward to the incident with Mr. Garrett Hess leading the race, going down into turn number 6 and starts to lose it, tries to save it, oh man, almost manages to save it, gets it turned around, and Charles Jetting just did not have anywhere to go there. Jumping back up to the live view, we have another driver having trouble, Garrett Streets. Wherever Mr. Garrett Streets is, there he is, looking like he had a little bit of trouble as well. I don't see any damage on that 15 machine, but the truck is saying that he was involved in an incident while we were looking at that replay. So let's real quick see if we can't figure out what happened to Garrett Streets there right quick. Coming out of turn 6, heading down into the final corner, turn number 7. Everything's looking a-okay so far. Oh, and big spin. Locks it up, gets it off the racing surface, gets it pointed in the right directions. No harm, no foul for Garrett Streets. Derek Murphy looking a little bit off the pace in that number 78 machine. He might have had a little bit of trouble going down through turn 6 and 7, and a little bit further back you can see a couple race cars with damage. Corey Logan picking up some damage on that CZ Robotics 24. Jason Gardner just behind, also with damage, trying to make the move on that 24 machine, heading down into turn number 1. I'll tell you what, still in the early goings of tonight's race, but these drivers are throwing everything they've got at each other here at this road course. Getting a little bit more spread out than we traditionally see in the Oval Series, but of course, everyone's experience level varies when it comes to making right turns, particularly in these big, heavy stock cars here this evening. But look at the field's mostly broken apart into two fairly distinct packs with each other. Alex Light is leading the way as our race leader with Nico Morelli and Brian Sabelski just behind for second and third. Sabelski got a little bit of ground for the back that he needs to try and make up. Call it about 1 or so seconds back. Of course, at these road courses, 1 second seems a lot less significant than it does at the short tracks that these drivers traditionally duke it out on. 20 laps left to go here at Watkins Glen, though. Pit stops will most likely be on the table here this evening, but we probably won't be seeing them until much later here in tonight's event. Both drivers really attacking these curbs through the bus stop, getting a little bit wiggly, but nothing too dangerous quite yet at the very least. I say that Tyler Aspinall might have had a little bit of trouble coming out the bus stop. He's got pointed in the right direction, but there was a very, very brief flash that he might have dipped his tires off the racing surface. Heading down through 6 and 7 once again. That's going to be putting another lap in the books, and that's another lap going to be going to Alexander Light in the Limitless Esports number 54. Of course, that is the 05 on our timing tower here this evening. Nico Morelli just behind in that number 14. Having a really solid run here this evening. Came into tonight's event being scored back into the 18th position in the championship standings. This could be the race Morelli is looking for to really propel himself up there. Of course, with only 2 races left to go in the season after here tonight, that it's not mathematically possible for Nico Morelli to take home the championship, but he could still move himself up a lot of positions. Call it about roughly the next 8 cars in front of him in the championship standings have all not attended a race in almost a month now. So he could make some very substantial moves in the championship standings and probably walk away with at least a top 10 overall, should he have a good run here in these final couple of races. Of course, after Watkins Glen here tonight, we head over to Bristol next week before we crown a champion at Kansas to end off this 11-week season. I'll tell you what, just everything about this season has been absolutely bizarre for the ASRC Oval Series. Of course, running on a road course, only 11 weeks to the season. Starting the streams early, it's just been completely all over the place here this season. And actually, some big news that was recently revealed by league admin Mr. Jason Gardner. Next season, the ASRC Oval Series is going to be seeing its biggest format change ever since the series was first conceived all the way back in 2020. Next season, the ASRC Oval Series drivers will be running in the Gen 4 car. And of course, sure, that's not no big deal. It's just the ARCA car with a little bit more power. So what? Well, the big kicker of next season is that it will be a full-length 36-race NASCAR season. As Garrett Hess has trouble, gets knocked off the track here in that 00, having a bit of trouble coming out of the outer loop, turn number 5. Not losing any positions there, as he's already about 4 seconds back from Tyler Aspinall and has a whole 18 seconds to play with in front of Derek Murphy. That damage is not doing the 00 any favors here. A little bit further back here is the battle for 7th between Derek Murphy and none other than Jason Gardner, the league administrator I was just talking about, as Derek Murphy goes way wide going through turn number 6. But sure enough, next season switching to the Gen 4 car and going to be running a full 36-week NASCAR season. Going to be doing a little bit of an odd format with it to keep in the true spirit of the ASRC Oval Series, which has always been 12 weeks, and also keep the league continue to be lined up with the iRacing official multiplayer seasons. There will be basically a season champion decrowned every 12 weeks, and then there will be an overall championship for the entirety of the full NASCAR season. And if I have understood correctly, they may be picking up some prizes from our friends at the SM Racing Products. That is for the overall champion of the full 36 events, not the individual 12-week championships. So definitely something to be keeping our eyes on for season number 14 of the ASRC Oval Series next season. Going to be quite the change of pace for pretty much the biggest redo that the league has ever seen in a long time, and I'm curious to see how it works out for these drivers. Right now, though, Jason Gardner pulling away from Mr. Garrett Streets, now up to a 1.1 second lead over that 15 machine, going a little bit wide down into turn number 1. Looking pretty A-okay through the S's, though. Up at the front, the closest battle on the track is still the battle for the race lead between Alexander Light and Nico Morelli, and Alexander Light going way, way, way wide out of turn number 5. Able to carry that momentum with him heading down into 6 and 7, but that was a scary sight to see. It almost looked like he was about to lose it coming back onto the track down that straightaway, but he's still going to maintain the lead. But this front stretch is long enough that drafting actually plays a bit of a factor here, so we could see Nico Morelli be able to dive for the move, either down into turn 1 or down into the bus stop, or generally the two main places that you are going to see these drivers try and go for those risky, daring moves. Only 10 laps completed here this evening, though, still not even halfway into tonight's event. So I'd imagine we're going to see these drivers try and play it a little bit safe, particularly since the cautions are going to be a lot more sporadic on if and when they are thrown. Brian Sabelski also starting to get involved here in this battle for the race lead, just a little bit further back, but still within striking distance. Just has to close that gap up a tiny little bit, and he will be there in it. Alex Light and Nico Morelli both picking up incidents for going slightly off the racing surface there. That runoff all over there is outside of the racing surface, and we could potentially see drivers picking up time penalties if they go too egregiously off the track. So far, it does not look like anyone's really had to deal with that, but it is something to keep in mind. If these drivers get a little bit too greedy with track limits, they will be hit with a time penalty. For those who are curious, I'm referring specifically to the automated iRacing time penalties, not anything applied post-race by the actual league admins. That's all being handled on an iRacing side. Once again, we see all these drivers just absolutely attacking those curbs through the bus stop. It's a miracle everyone is having things be A-okay as they are, and we have Jason Gardner going around in turn 1. Heavy damage to the number 93 machine. He's keeping it rolling, though, so the caution flag's not going to have to fly here. But that will cost him the position to Garrett Streets, and Derek Murphy is gaining on him right quickly here. Let's see if we can't take a look back, see what happened to Jason Gardner right quick, going down into turn number 1. Already damage on that number 93 machine. It looks like maybe not quite the corner he was looking for here. Gets on the curbs, and just enough to throw the balance off on that car and send it down into the tire barrier, but In all honesty, it doesn't look all that much more damaged than it was prior. So he should be pretty much a-okay to keep going, and sure enough, you still see him out here on the track running back in the 8th position, so it looks like no harm, no foul for Mr. Jason Gardner, at least for the time being. We'll have to see if that car manages to actually stay together for the remainder of this event. Derek Murphy, you can see just behind, still 5 seconds back from Jason Gardner, trying to close that gap up here a little bit. Last time by, give it a second to update here as Murphy crosses the line. Last time by, Murphy was 5 seconds faster than Jason Gardner. Of course, Gardner did have that incident, so that is something to keep in mind, but still, Derek Murphy is slowly trying to gain on that number 93 machine. Charles Gettings making his way back out on the racetrack in the Budweiser number 96, one of the rookie drivers here in tonight's event. And our race leader's off the track. Alex Light has gone off the racing surface. He's going to lose the position to Nico Morelli and Brian Sabelski, and he's almost in position to be losing that position to Mike Moultrie as well. Heavy left front damage to the number 54 machine, and that could be the end of the race for that driver. That is really disappointing to see. He was having such a good run. And you can see him wiggling coming out of the S's, so it looks like he might have a little bit of steering damage to be playing with here in that 54, and that is always scary to see heading down into the bus stop. Looks like he's able to successfully navigate it, but Mike Moultrie Jr. is catching him mighty darn quickly as Garrett Streets has trouble. Streets goes around but gets pointed back in the right direction. That's going to let Jason Gardner get back around. Back up to Mike Moultrie, who is rapidly closing the distance on a now wounded 05 of Alex Light. You can see him, he's really struggling to get the car to rotate on these right-handers. And he's going to keep it out of pit lane. He's going to try and run with this damage until the pit window opens. But that number 3 machine, rookie driver in that good wrench entrance, looking like he may potentially be walking home with at least a little bit of time here in the podium. And no guarantee that he will actually be able to walk away with it all the way to the end. But so far, of all of the rookie drivers here in the field here tonight, Mike Moultrie is having the most success here this evening, up +8 from where he qualified here tonight. Just trying to figure out how to get around that damage number 54. And his opportunity is going to present itself right there, able to get down on the low line, pull up side by side with Alex Light down through the outer loop. Little bit of a nudge there, getting a little bit loose in that 3 machine, and they're going to be nearly side by side again, going down into 6 and 7. Both drivers getting a little bit of a wiggle as they get hard on the brakes down into 6. Alex Light going a bit wide, as is Tyler Aspinall just behind. Another slide coming out of turn number 7, and this is quite the battle to behold for the mid-pack positions here, as Aspinall starts to close in and see if he can't make a move on that wounded number 54 as well. Alexander Light just having to hold on, and so is Tyler Aspinall as he gets majorly loose coming out of the corner, and Jason Gardner is also around as well. That is heavy damage on the number 93 machine. That looks like an expired engine. I mean, he's got it rolling again, but the smoke coming out of the back of that car we might actually see a caution flag come out. If this engine expires before he can get back to pit lane, we might see the first caution flag of the evening come out here with 10 laps to go for Jason Gardner. It's just a question of, is he going to be able to get back down to pit lane? And it looks like the answer is going to be yes, he is. The caution flag is not going to come out for that number 93, but we have a couple of different incidences that we need to go through and review right quick. So how about we take a look back? Let's first look back a couple laps ago to our race leader, when Alex Light lost the race lead, loose coming out of turn number 7 and hard into the outside wall. That's going to be costing him the race lead, and he's fallen back a decent bit here now because of that. Then we had an incident for Garrett Streets. A couple of laps later down into turn number 1, and it looks like we're probably going to see the same incident that we saw Jason Gardner have earlier in the event. Big slide going down into turn number 1, locks it up, no damage. And then finally the incident we just saw with Jason Gardner that absolutely destroyed the front end of that number 93 machine. Heading down through the outer loop, sends it way too hard, gets, oh boy. I'll tell you what, those barrels might be filled with sand in the real world, but here on the iRacing.com platform, I can guarantee you they are filled with concrete. But how about we take a look back up at our race lead as it stands right now. Nico Morelli and Brian Sabelski 1 and 2 battling for the race lead, and I'll tell you what, if this doesn't give these two drivers a whiff of nostalgia for their days back in the ASRC Road Series, I don't know what will. These two drivers, very dominant back when we were running the MX-5 and the Volkswagen Jetta. Very dominant back when we ran the sports cars for a couple of seasons. And there was also the series with the TCRs as well that we did for a couple of seasons. And I'll tell you what, Nico Morelli, Brian Sabelski, these were drivers throwing it down with Jake Johansson, Rui Coimbra, Ronnie Kotz, Nils Santowski, Johnny Bell, Odyssey Adams. These two are just kind of the remnants of days gone by in the ASRC as a league from back when it was a major road racing league back in 2017 through 2021. Both these drivers running with a 6-second lead over the rest of the field. Even if these aren't proper road racing cars, these cars are made pretty much primarily for running on ovals. These two just know their way around road courses. They know how to make just about any car you throw at them work when it comes to making right-hand turns. Both of them actually looking like they are working their way towards lapping a couple of these cars, working their way up on the 24. Corey Logan catching up to Derek Murphy as well. And honestly, all that not too far that way away from catching the 96 of Charles Jettings as well, though Charles is currently being scored 9 laps down from that incident with Garrett Hess earlier on in today's event. We're now, though, still looking at the closest battle on the speedway as we get it down to 7 to go here in Watkins, Glen, New York. Still making big moves through the bus stop. Once these tires get heated up as well, these drivers just get more and more confident on their runs through that narrow section of the track. And I'll tell you what, I'm a little bit afraid that we could see a little bit of a similar situation that we saw with Alex Light and Garrett Hess, where maybe just pushing it a little bit too hard. Of course, Sabelski is right behind Nico Morelli, so it's not like he has a lot of breathing room here, but past that, they have a full 6-second lead to be playing with here. So honestly, Morelli and Sabelski both can take a little bit of a breather here and just continue to sail away from the rest of the field, duke it on out in the later goings of things. Brian Sabelski locking it up a little bit as he overtakes that 24 machine of Corey Logan down into turn number 1, heading up through the S's. Not any more lap traffic to worry about for the time being. I don't think either of these drivers are going to be catching Derek Murphy before they get to the bus stop. But that has made Sabelski's gap fall back to 1.3 seconds now as they all head on down into the bus stop. A little bit further back, Tyler Aspinall and Mike Moultrie closing in the gap on each other as well. Aspinall is a driver we have not talked about very much here tonight. One of the rookie drivers here, along with Mike Moultrie, running in that blue and red My Perks entry. Aspinall qualified back in the 11th position, up +7 from where he qualified, and we have trouble on the speedway for Cameron Van Dyke. Hard impact down into turn number 1. Looks like he is able to get it rolling once again. So again, no caution flag going to be flying here this evening as he tries to bring it back out on the speedway. He's going to slam hard on the brakes. He does not want to rejoin into any of these cars. And we have drivers running a little bit wide there, nearly getting into Cameron. With 5 laps left to go, everyone is pushing these cars with everything they have left to push here. Corey Logan starting to gain on Derek Murphy here. This is the battle for the 8th position, 0.3 of a second dividing these two drivers as they send it on down into the bus stop just behind. That is the good wrench number 3 of Mike Moultrie trying to lap these two cars with Tyler Aspinall hot on his heels as well. And big wiggle for Mike Moultrie. Big slide coming out of the bus stop. That could have been disastrous for that number 3 machine, and that is going to allow Aspinall to close the gap even further as they battle their way through traffic here. And it looks like Cameron Van Dyke has looped it around in the bus stop. But we're going to be keeping it on the action here as that one machine looking at the trap map looks like he is able to get rolling here once again. So very impressive that despite all the incidents that these drivers have had here this evening, there's still a close battle going on around the speedway. And the caution flag has not flown once here tonight. Apparently this is the closest battle on the speedway between the 3 all-black Goodrich entry and the 29 Big Eagle number 29 in the blue and red entry. Everyone else around these cars are all lap traffic that they're having to deal with here right now. Excuse me, that's Giant Eagle entry, not the Big Eagle entry. I know how to say words here, race fans, I promise. And down into the bus stop, things looking good for Aspinall and for Moultrie. Just behind those two cars, Derek Murphy and Corey Logan also battling it out for position, though these two cars are a lap down. They are still very much battling for spots with each other, though. And Logan, last time by, was only about 1/10 of a second off the pace from Derek Murphy. So Corey Logan, despite the damage to the right front, does have some speed still left to play here. And with 3 laps left to go here at Watkins Glen, everyone has damaged race cars. Everyone is just kind of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks here. Both of them have Alex Light coming up on their heels. Alex is not really battling for position with anyone here as Cameron goes around in the bus stop. That one machine is around, no damage to it. He's going to get it rolling once again. But it is just not Cameron's night here tonight. Going a little bit wide as well as leaders come on by. Here comes the actual overall race leader coming up on that one machine as well. Currently has a 1.8 second lead over Brian Sabelski. And only going to be a little bit over 5 miles left to go here this evening before Morelli could potentially be taking home the checkered flag in the ASRC Oval Series. Looks like I might have been mistaken. It looks like these drivers are not that concerned about pitting after all. I thought pit stops were going to be on the books for these drivers, but it looks like everyone's just A-okay here this evening. With only 2 laps left to go, it's not like you can pit now. So if these drivers aren't confident in their fuel levels here, then they've definitely got something going wrong for them here tonight. A little bit further back, closest battle on the track at the time being is the battle for 3rd between these two rookie drivers, Mike Moultrie, Tyler Aspinall. 0.7 of a second dividing that 3 and 29 machine. As we once again try our luck down through the bus stop. And it looks like Cameron Van Dyke is off the speedway again, potentially. Take a look back here at the number 1 machine. No, it looks like he's doing A-okay. Everything looks good for that number 1 machine, so I guess our timing and scoring is just freaking out over nothing here at this rate. 2 laps left to go here at Watkins Glen. And Nico Morelli's getting ready to cross the line and put it down to 1 to go. You can actually see him. Uh-oh, we have trouble. Big impact for Cameron Van Dyke again, and it looks like Alex Light is also off the track, but the white flag is out. So we're ending the race next time around no matter what. Let's take a real quick look back at Alex Light and see what all just went down here. And oh, there's Cameron Van Dyke. Don't do that. That ain't good for you. That's that ain't gonna help. Big lockup down into turn 1 and 2. This is between Corey Logan and Derek Murphy. These are battling for positions. Garrett Hess is involved as well. As the white flag is out, these two drivers are battling for position. Corey Logan and Derek Murphy. And it looks like Derek Murphy is going to have the advantage here as everyone gets rolling once again. And then there's the battle up here. Mike Moultrie, Tyler Aspinall battling for the final podium position and battling to potentially be the best finishing of this large field of rookie drivers out here in the track here tonight. Garrett Streets wrecks out. Garrett Streets is off the track. We're keeping the camera on this battle here. 0.2 of a second between Moultrie and Aspinall, battling it out for the final podium position, battling it out to see who is the best of the rookies making their debut appearance here tonight. Nico Morelli takes home the win here at Watkins Glen. Mike Moultrie is going to win the battle for the final podium position. What an evening it has been here at Watkins Glen International. I'll tell you what, race fans, I don't know if they would like hearing me say this, but I always have the idea that I think we need to throw these oval boys on road courses more often. That was pretty fun. As Nico Morelli brings it back around the speedway, as they run right now, race results are going to be Nico Morelli, Brian Zabelski, and Mike Moultrie, your top 3 finishers here tonight. Then Tyler Aspinall, Garrett Hess, Alex Light for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Garrett Streets, Derek Murphy, Corey Logan, 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's going to be Jason Gardner, Charles Gettings, and Cameron Van Dyke rounding out the remainder of these 12 cars. And actually, we can get that pulled up here right now. Unofficial race results here at Watkins Glen for our first ever time visiting this track for the ASRC Oval Series, and now 16th visit to this track for ASRC as a whole. Nico Morelli taking home his first checkered flag of the season. Alrighty, race fans, don't go anywhere. We'll be back here in just a second with some words with your top 3 finishers here this evening. Alrighty, race fans, welcome back to Watkins, Glen. Welcome back to the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series presented by SM Racing Products. I'll tell you what, it's not often we get the opportunity to go to a road course, and these drivers did not disappoint here tonight. It's going to be that 14 machine of Mr. Nico Morelli taking home the checkered flag here this evening for his first win of the season. And I'll tell you what, the first thing that was going through my mind here tonight was there any bit of nostalgia between you and Brian leading a road course race again after all this time?
Of course. That is so much fun. It is such an old school throwback, and I knew coming into this race that this was kind of one of my only shots to win this year. I'm never particularly fast or at the front of the group in the Oval Series, but every time we get to, a plate track or somewhere like here at a road course where I know things can go sideways quickly and I can run kind of near the front, then I can hopefully capitalize. And look at who it was, but the two veterans up front capitalizing.
Sure enough, I mean, I was a little bit hesitant on it because I know these ARCA cars are a little bit of a different beast from what y'all would traditionally run on the road courses, but just how different was it actually taking a stock car out onto the road course here tonight?
Oh, this was so incredibly different than I was used to. It's kind of everything amplified that you would get from the oval. It's just everything is so much about paying attention to your weight transfer and where the mechanical grip is, and not overstepping that grip. Because the moment you over, I'm terrible on ovals about saving tires, but on the road course, I'm really okay at least at feeling where that slip point is. And the moment you get over that slip point on the road course for more than a lap or so, you just melt these tires, and it's really hard to make them come back without falling through the field. So it just was kind of about feeling the car out, really feeling where the grip was, knowing not to overstep that, not to destroy your tires so that you're falling back the whole time. And having Alex ahead of me to pace me was really, it helped me to do that a lot. I could just kind of sit behind him, go off of his braking points and everything, just kind of be fast where I knew I could be fast, but then save tires and relax and know that Brian wasn't going to try anything silly behind me.
Yeah, all of y'all definitely put on a heck of a run here tonight. Gained a couple of spots here this evening prior to the incidences that Alex and Garrett Hess had. Words are hard. Did you think you would have been able to win this race on pace had the two of them not had their incidents?
Absolutely not. Garrett, I knew was definitely faster than us, and I knew he was just from practice alone and the way he kind of shot off at the beginning. I figured he was going to either run away with it or he was going to potentially have an incident. And I could see him pushing, so I kind of thought I'll just sit behind Alex. I know both of us kind of got in practice at the same time. We were kind of around the same pace. We qualified at the same pace, so I said, I'll stick with Alex. We're not going to go crash into the field backwards, and then we'll just kind of see what Garrett does. And he just kind of got it wrong. And as soon as it was Alex and I at the front, I thought, I don't know about pace. I'll push, and then we'll just kind of see what happens. And as soon as I really couldn't necessarily get by on my pace, I thought I'll just stick behind him, pressure him. Maybe he'll make a mistake. I'll save some tires, hoping that I can have something for Brian at the end here. And I kind of once got the challenge from Brian that I was expecting after Alex's spin, but after that, it was just kind of managing a gap, and it was only then near the end where I thought, hey, I might actually have a shot at this. I really kind of expected Brian to come on by.
Fair enough. It looks like everything worked out just about as well as you could ask it for here this evening. Coming into tonight's event, 18th in the championship standings. Of course, that's not really vying for the championship at all, but pretty much everyone ahead of you up to like 10th has not attended a race in over a month. So if you show up for these next two races for Bristol and Kansas, you could still be walking away with a top 10 in the championship standings here for this season.
It's very viable. I just gotta race smart the next two races, and we'll see what happens. Bristol can be chaos, but who knows? It can be good chaos for me. We'll see.
Fair enough. Well, for now, I'll let you go ahead and celebrate taking home a win and enjoying being able to be out on a road course once again. Before you go, the microphone is all yours, Mr. Morelli. Who do you want to thank for making everything happen?
ASRC, obviously, Jason for organizing and doing everything behind the scenes, Aiden for obviously helping in broadcasting, and the drivers who show up to actually make the races happen. Without them, there are no races, there are no broadcasts, there is no fun. And Brian for making it fun tonight, but not getting so close that he made me have an issue.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here tonight. Congratulations on taking home the checkered flag, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Bristol.
Thank you. Have a great evening, Ed.
And finishing back in position number 2, none other than Mr. Brian Zabes. I can't speak tonight. Mr. Brian Zabelski, I swear I know your name. It's been a heck of a run here tonight. You got to get out on the road courses once again. How are you feeling here tonight?
Just disappointed. That's really all I got to say about that. It's one of those things I can't control what other people do. I can't control if they decide to park it on the racing line while I'm trying to pass them. But some people just made the wrong call tonight when they were getting lapped, and it cost me the race pretty much. So I feel bummed that I think I had them dead the rights their last 3 laps, and give me another lap, I probably get by them going into the last couple corners. But we saved up. Just was trying to play the game, playing the Spark game, save my stuff, make a push with 5 to go, and just when there's a lap car on the apex and you're trying to turn in, you end up overheating tires because you had to slam on the brakes not to hit them. That's kind of it. Like I lost 3 seconds on a couple laps cumulative, and we finished less than a second behind. So I could have kept the pressure on Nicholas a little bit more. But Nicholas ran a good race. He didn't do anything wrong. Props to him. He got around the traffic with less fuss and less fanfare. It's not as if he and I wouldn't have raced pretty hard there at the end. Kept it clean. I think I could have beat him.
Fair enough. Still a really solid run here tonight, and definitely a substantially better run than your current competitors in the actual championship here tonight. So you've got that going for you.
That's true.
And
gotta look at the blessings like that, I guess. Yeah.
Kind of looking a little bit far out here with this new 36-week, but also 12-week, 3 times new thing we got going on here. Technically, the second season of that season will be having 2 road courses back to back with Sonoma and Watkins Glen. So there is another chance for y'all to do some road course racing coming up later this year.
Yeah, Gen 4 is a little bit more powerful, so I don't know how I don't quite know how to finesse it around the track as much as this car. So we'll see. I don't know how many of those races I'll make for the start of it, but I should be back at some point to wreak havoc the Gen 4.
Fair enough. And of course, here this season still got 2 more races left to go, Bristol and Kansas. I guess the first question is, do you think you'll be able to make it out to them? And if so, do you think you have what it takes to win?
To answer the first question, no, I probably won't be there. Short of me crashing out of my other Monday night series, in which case I'll be very grumpy. If I show up, can I win those both? Yeah, I think I can. Those are 2 tracks I feel pretty confident with, especially Kansas. So we'll see how it all shakes out. If I'm not here, I'm probably running in my other Monday night league, which is the B car, the Xfinity car. So kind of like this, but with a lot more power to it, a lot more difficulty to control. So we'll see. We got Bumpy, aka Crunchy Atlanta next week, and then I think Las Vegas after that. So a lot of throttle heavy tracks. So either way, I'm going to be whatever I'm doing, I'm going to be stepping on the throttle a lot for Monday nights next couple of weeks.
Fair enough. I reckon that's half the battle, no matter where you're doing it at. And if we don't see you in the next 2 weeks, then it's of course been great having you out here, and a really solid run so far here in season number 13. So congrats for all the work you've managed to do so far.
Thank you. Yeah. It's been fun. I was expecting to be a couple fewer races, but tonight I'm not racing Bathurst in that car tonight, so I'm here instead. Had a good time anyways. You know, it is what it is. It's one of those things where you're like, man, maybe I'm a little bummed that I didn't quite get that last spot that I think I could have got. But hey, I came out here, had a competitive race. Not gonna be too disappointed about that.
Good deal. Well, still heck of a run here tonight. Always great seeing you out here on the track. Before I let you head out for the evening, though, the microphone is all yours, Mr. Sabelski. Who you want to thank for being able to make everything happen here tonight?
Well, thanks to Jason and ASRC for putting this whole thing together. Like I said, I don't know how many of the Gen 4 races I'll be at over the summer and stuff like that, but I'll be back. I'll be back at some point, so trust me. Y'all, even if I'm not here for a bit, y'all haven't seen the last of me. I've got some break weeks and stuff coming up for FTF as well, so I'll be around. And I appreciate all the work Jason is putting together, especially with this new season. I think it's probably the biggest thing he's put together, and the biggest maybe. I know some people are like, it's kind of a risk, but it's sometimes you got to take a risk and try something different and see if it works, and maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. You never know until you try it. So, we already got a lot of new people. So, hello to all the new folks who are here tonight. Good to have you here. I know we had a couple of new folks, and Charles and Cameron, Tyler and Michael were all here tonight, and they all ran really well. And there's a couple other people that are probably going to be showing up next couple of weeks. So welcome aboard. Of course, thanks to the team at McConey Setup Shop, official setup shop at VNASCAR. I'm sure check them out. SM Racing Products got their button box. It's wonderful. Love it. Very happy with it. Of course, folks at Secret Lab put together my beautiful comfy chair. Love it very much. I'll be a lot. Want to thank Fanatec for the DD2, which they did not send to me. I had to buy it myself. And hopefully with the shifter I'll be having soon. As a birthday gift to myself, I bought that, and I'm just waiting for it to ship now. Of course, thanks to you, Aiden, for broadcasting, everyone over on my Twitch channel watching as well. Good to have you all here. That's about it for now. So, yeah.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here tonight. Congratulations on the finish here this evening. And of course, we hope to see you next week. But first and foremost, good luck on your other Monday night races.
Thank you.
And you heard it here first, race fans. Words with your top two finishers here this evening. Unfortunately, we were not able to get Mike Moultrie up here for an interview because he wasn't aware that we did interviews until he already turned his computer off for the evening. But Mike Moultrie out of Fresno, California, Fresno, California, going to be rounding out the podium position here this evening. Taking a look down at the rest of our results, Tyler Aspinall, also a rookie driver, along with that number 3 of Mike Moultrie, taking home position number 4 here tonight, followed by the SM race. No, that's the wrong Garrett. That's our championship leader in the 00, bringing it home in position number 5 here tonight. That is the Everfrost entry. That's going to be the 15 of... No, I can't read here tonight, race fans. It's the 05 of Alexander Light, bringing it home position number 6 right now. Then it's going to be the SM Racing Products 15 of Garrett Streets, bringing it home position number 7. 8th place going to go back to the 78 of Derek Murphy, followed by the CZ Robotics 24 of Corey Logan, back in 9th. League admin Jason Gardner in the 93, back in position number 10, followed by rookie drivers Charles Gettings and Cameron Van Dyke, back in 11th and 12th, respectively. I'll tell you what, race fans, road course racing ain't something we super get to do often here on this channel, but that was one heck of a race put on by these Oval Series drivers, and that has me very excited for the 2 road course races we have coming up in July and August later this year, using this same car but with more horsepower. So those are bound to be crazy races here to see, but that's still a long way out in the future. It's still February here, race fans. Still got 2 weeks left to go before we crown a champion here in season number 13. Going to be taking it home to the last great Coliseum next week, Bristol Motor Speedway, before we crown a champion over at Kansas. For now, though, thank you all for tuning in, race fans. It's been one heck of a night here tonight, and we look forward to seeing